This is Chet Holmgren, and I'm down to dunk.
This is AJ Mitchell, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Alex Crusoe, and I'm down to dunk.
It's like baby bottle pop. Yeah.
This is Adam Flagler, and I'm down to dunk.
Hey, it's Isaiah Hartenstein, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Kason Wallace, and I'm down to dunk.
I can't spell Lucas. Hey, how do you spell Lucas? How do you spell Lucas?
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
This is Nikola Topic, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Dylan Jones, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Isaiah Joe, and I'm down to dunk.
And there's probably like 50 to 75 Beanie Babies.
Give me like your top 3 Pokemon.
Brother, I can't even name.
This is Jay Will, and I'm down to dunk.
Sometimes the way his brain works is, it leaves a lot to be desired.
This is Kenrich Williams, and I'm down to dunk.
Charmander.
Charmander.
Or are you more of a Charmeleon guy?
Charmeleon.
This is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and I'm down to dunk.
Schlecht. You know what it means? Yeah.
That means like bad.
It means bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Well, it was a good interview, so it wasn't bad.
JDub, year 3, and I'm down to dunk for the 3rd time. Thank you.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. Before I get to my special in-person guest, we're going to talk about some other special people named Aaron and Drew Reese of Shelter Insurance here in Bethany, Mustang, in Oklahoma City. Listen, do you care about your car? Do you care about your home? Do you? Because if you do, you'll contact Aaron and Drew today because these guys really want to take care of you. Trustworthy. These are just incredible guys. You can contact Aaron at 405-773-5500. Drew at 405-478-7714. Today, call or text to talk to these guys about how you can protect your home or your car. Please. They support Down to Dunk and the Thunder. You know what? I'll bet they'll both be super pumped and jacked for that game last night if you call them or text them today. You could just call or text them today and just say, hey, man, Thunder up if you want. And I'm sure they will answer back with a hearty thunder up to you. So you should do that. With me, hardly ever on a Tuesday at my house at Down to Dunk Studios. It's my good friend, Alex Spears. Alex, what's up?
What's up, Andrew?
Alex, a guy that was at Game 5.
That's right.
Let's talk about what it was like to be at Game 5.
Just a regular guy at Game 5.
Single ticket.
A lot of treats. Shout out to the L-Man who brought me a full cup of gummy bears.
L-Man is delivering full cups of gummy bears, not only to you, but he has taken a full cup of gummy bears to my kids anytime they're at the games when L-Man has been media member L-Man.
Your wife brought me fruit.
Ooh.
At halftime.
Yeah, she did.
Popcorn
my wife.
At halftime.
Wow.
So I was good to go. I had so many snacks.
Wow.
I was single ticket. I was in 119, one of the sections that, from what I could tell, stood the entire time.
Yeah,
which was awesome
because very cool.
They flashed the thing on the big screen at the beginning, like we're gonna stay in for all 48 minutes.
Yeah,
and I didn't totally buy it. And there were some sections that did eventually like sit and stand. On the whole, I would say most of the arena was standing more than 50% of the game.
Yeah, where I'm situated in the arena, I'm at the very bottom of 108 in the corner, and if the section in front of me are standing, I have to stand myself to see it.
Oh, really?
Or I watch the Jumbotron, but you don't want to watch the Jumbotron. It's just like watching TV at home. Yeah. So I stand up in my media seat, which is honestly pretty cool. It was one of the more unique NBA environments I've ever seen. It was very cool.
It was crazy. It was overwhelming to me, like, especially pre-game. Because everyone has those clapper things, and they're all clapping to the beat.
Yep.
But then you like look around, and just like the blue and white looked incredible at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, it did.
And then you had probably storm chasers like doing the thunder flags, like all
yeah, that was very cool.
Like
that
felt to me like the closest I'll ever get to one of those like EuroLeague games that we see.
Absolutely, it felt like that. Yeah,
and it's not that because there wasn't like random fire shooting out of the crowd.
No one's using pyrotechnics on their own.
Yeah, people weren't like jumping in unison. But for an NBA game, like that was completely unique to anything I've ever experienced.
It was
awesome. Yeah, and I was sitting next to two guys who had driven up from Tijuana, two Thunder fans.
It still just
awesome.
blows my mind. There's so many people from. I mean, like we met a guy from Spain.
Met a guy from Spain. Luke met a guy from Montreal.
Yes.
We met people from all over the United States.
Yeah.
It was.
It's the coolest.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess it's true with the media as well. Like you had media from all around the world.
Literally every place in the world. China, Spain, Italy. I mean, everywhere.
It's just so crazy to think of what this city was like when we were growing up, and what downtown was like.
Dude,
I mean, I was talking to a dunker last night about that side-by-side shot that people showed
Yeah.
from the 2012 finals.
Yeah.
Like the overhead shots and how different it looks then. But even going back to like the 90s when we were growing up and thinking now that like all of these people are spending thousands of dollars to come to Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
It's kind of bizarre.
It is. It feels strange. And I've been telling a lot of people this. Like I grew growing up here because people that I work with that I don't work with on a daily basis we kind of get to know each other a little bit. And they're like, did you grow up here? I'm like, yeah. It's like never in my wildest dreams when I was growing up did I ever think there would be an NBA team here.
Dude, never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd go downtown to do anything. Just to go downtown. Like I walked, my mom was at the Edge Apartments, and I walked from the Edge to the arena just because I wanted to like see what like the game day atmosphere was like, see if people were out walking. Turns out that was actually a little bit farther than like most people are walking to the game. So I didn't see anyone for a bit.
Yeah.
But it's just so cool how much smaller the city feels compared to when we were growing up. Like the fact that I could walk like that to the arena and then like walk to a bar afterwards or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's incredible. And the Game 5 environment was unreal. I think it was the loudest event I've ever been to. And like, we've been to a lot of concerts and stuff. I just feel like I don't think I've ever been to an event that's been louder.
I know. I meant to check my phone because I know it has the decibel thing on it. Because I never trust the one that's on the Jumbotron.
Oh, on the Jumbotron. It feels like is I don't know if that's I need to get the scoop on that. Is that like real?
Are we just watching a GIF?
I know. That's kind of what I feel like. Yeah. I don't know.
But it felt really loud. Those clappers are, I mean,
the clappers are incredible.
They're very cool except when one right in your ear.
Yeah.
They do make a lot of sound.
Very loud. Jalen Williams is a superstar.
Dude,
all NBA, all-star, all defense, and now he's one of 9 players ever, 24 or younger, to score 40 points in the NBA Finals.
Wow.
The list is pretty crazy when you read it. One, Devin Booker is on this list, which feels strange, but he's on the list of players that have done it. But it's Kyrie Irving. Russell Westbrook did it in 2012.
Yeah.
Dwayne Wade, Magic Johnson, Rick Barry, Jerry West, and George Mikan.
Wow.
And now Jalen Williams, JDub, is one of those guys. And he was insane last night. Like that was one of the best performances I've ever seen of a player ever. Offensively, defensively, controlling the pace. His passing was great. I am just like, we are incredibly spoiled, obviously, to have Shea, who's the MVP, but to have this guy who's in year 3 and is already doing this on this team, who's up for extension this summer.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow.
And all the talk coming into the playoffs. And which I think some of it was justified. You know, on like the nicer end, it was just like, well, let's just see what happens. Like, I don't know how he's going to perform. And I think that was a completely rational take for someone to have. You know, on the extreme side, people were already saying like, oh, he's going to be part of a Giannis package, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But for him to have this type of game, like, it erases all of that.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, I was on Zach Lowe's pod after the Thunder went down 2-1 to Denver. And he asked me that.
Yeah.
Just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Asked me about that. And it's an absurd thought. Even if they lost to Denver, it would be an absurd thought to trade this guy. Like, it would be insane. And now that they beat Denver. They're up 3-2. They're 1 win away from winning an NBA Finals. And he scored 40 in a game.
Well, and Zach Lowe on his pod today was saying, like, this is up there with any of, like, the good Kawhi performances, Kevin Durant performances. Like, it's that level.
Yeah.
And it is kind of, it still is shocking because I was just looking it up. His career high is 41.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like we see a lot of 40 burgers from JDub.
His playoff career high, I think, was 35.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like I guess it was 34.
Yeah.
And then he had exceeded it at 35. And then right after he scored right away again to get to 37. And then he hit the three that he hit was what like put them over the top at the moment, because the game got down to 2 and the arena was nervous, very nervous. And I thought, boy, I mean, I was in the building for game 1. I was like, this feels an awful lot like game 1. Like this is not good.
Well, especially with that first half, like it felt like the same first half was playing out where they got a ton of turnovers, and yet you look up at halftime and you're like, well, why are they not up by 20? Like for a team whose like entire thing this playoffs is how often they come back from down 20. Like, why can we not get up 20 on this team?
They got up 18.
They get so close.
It was like, and then they ended the half terrible. Dino, who was sitting next to Dean Blevins, he's freaking out.
He was peeved.
You know, this is Dean. It's kind of cool, like sitting next to Dean, because this is his final thing he's doing before he retires.
Oh, really?
Is like covering the NBA Finals.
Oh, wow. He's our good luck charm.
And like, I think there's nothing more than he just wants to see them win a championship. And all the things that, I mean, Dino's like a funny guy, but like everything that he's seen for so long in like Oklahoma sports, like it'd be very cool for him to see the NBA championship. But it was just funny. Like he like feels everything like sitting next to him, which is unusual in a media seat, because a lot of times it's like, this is his last thing. And I'm like, dude, do your thing. Like, feel everything you need to feel throughout this, because
at least he's like a local guy.
Yeah, he's seen so much. And I even asked him, I was like, is this the loudest you've ever heard this arena? Because he's been in the arena, you know, throughout the whole thing. Yeah. He was like, yeah. He's like, this is not even, there's nothing even close to this.
Luke told me, because he sits up in Cloud City.
Yeah.
And so he's there with a lot of like national media or foreign media. And he said, you know, you're not supposed to make sounds. So he said like a lot of the game, he'll just be like, like once he's obviously a fan, he's on Down to Dunk, but he can't really do anything. So he just has to like let out these very strange sounds.
You've got to be very measured sitting there. You're just a fly on the wall. That's all you are. But
Dub was,
dude.
I mean, I just can't believe we got a legacy game from Jalen. Like, to get that type of a game. I mean, that's the type of game that you will like talk about.
We will talk
for a long, long time, and for him to do it in year 3.
That's what I mean. It gets me really excited to think about, like, what are they going to look like if this team stays together for the next 5 years?
Yeah.
What are they going to look like 4 years from now, with Chet and JDub and Shea getting this kind of experience? And like, because a lot of times you get yourself kind of tied up a little bit in like the minutia of like, how does this roster fit? I'm like, honestly, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter who the role players are, because if this is the worst those 3 will be
right
in the next 5 years, I don't think you could throw you or me out there.
And I don't know about that.
I mean, yeah, definitely not me right now. It would be really sad.
You would get targeted.
I would.
Both of us.
You know what? Targeted. I think I would score as many buckets as Tyrese Halliburton did last night if I was put out there right now.
You would be on Hallie. They would bring me into the pick and roll.
Yeah,
and both of us would be lost. There'd be 2 wide open Pacers.
We would just be. But Halliburton. The good news is Halliburton would just miss anyway, so it'd be okay.
Dude. Yeah,
it'll be okay. But yeah, I mean, it is a legendary game. And we tried afterwards at the podium. It's a really interesting watch. I recommend everybody go watch him at the podium, because the maturity that he showed in that moment. Because you're 24 years old, You score 40 points in the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
You have media members just like teeing you up to just be like,
please tell us how good you are.
this rocks. Like I killed them. Like they have nothing for me, you know. And he's just like, I asked him. I didn't list out all the guys, but I was just like, hey, you were one of 9 players, 24 or younger, to score 40 points in a game, in an NBA Finals game in the history of the league.
Yeah.
There's only 9. I was like, I just want your reaction to that. And his reaction was, we need one more win.
Yeah.
And it was like, it's like he gets it. He gets it, you know? And it's not like I'm trying to trip him up. Like, I just think it is one of like the coolest things to watch is somebody. I mean, a lot of, obviously, like everybody that listens to this knows JDub and has watched him hundreds of times at this point, but it's like, I don't know like how many people nationally that are just like casually tuning in know how good this guy is. And for him to do this on this stage is unbelievable.
Well, even in these playoffs, like how many games, especially like as it's gone on and the games have gotten bigger and bigger, where you can like definitively say JDub was the best player on the court for either team.
Yeah, I mean,
and so for that to happen in the biggest game of the series, like a pivotal game 5, I mean, I feel like the attention he got last night, like that's going to carry over for so long for him. Like when it comes to like All-Star and awards, like that game is going to be such an anchor point for people because now everyone has a JDub game in their memory, no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible what he's become. And also just thinking about his like individual journey is like it's a very cool story. You know, he was not supposed to be this. And I mean, when he got drafted, we're like, okay, like that's cool. Like he'll be like this like 3-and-D role player. He can handle a little bit, pretty good passer.
Yeah.
You know, it felt like a reach when they took him at 12 that night. And a lot of people thought so. It's like, oh, they could have just traded back a few picks, you know? Like that's the conversations that were happening around him. And even in Summer League, you could see it. You're like, oh, this guy's good. Like this guy's good right now. Like he could play for the Thunder today and start and be very good. And he didn't even start whenever he was like first on the team. Like his whole journey is so unusual. And the fact that he's here now scoring 40 points in the NBA Finals it's astonishing. Like it is one of the cooler stories. And I wouldn't say like I know JDub like super well, but I've interacted with him a lot. And he's a guy that I'm like happy that my kids cheer for. Like he's a good guy. Like anytime my kids like wanted or like have been near him to get an autograph, he's always super kind to them. He's like one of like the more normal-ish superstars that you could meet.
And his shoes were Pinky and the Brain themed.
Yes.
Which that's a really good sign.
It's a great sign. And the fact that he's extension eligible, sign that dude to that extension right away.
Yeah. And you know, looking ahead a little bit, like this is why, and I did this too. Like, when we were in the tanking years, looking at all these future picks, thinking, okay, we're eventually going to package them for some big player. You know? And now you look at it, seeing that those 3 guys are going to be on massive deals for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
And knowing how valuable those picks, I mean, they may get to a point where their picks are frozen because they're in the second apron for so long because those contracts are going to be so big.
And it may not matter.
Because they have all of these picks extending out.
Yeah, they've set themselves up
and the thing
incredibly well
that you mentioned about JDub, which I think is true of a lot of Thunder, like the Thunder players that actually stick on this roster, is they are good from day one.
Yeah.
Like you look back, every Presti pick that is like on the roster that is a part of the rotation was good from day one. Like Kaysen was good from day one.
Yeah.
Like he was a rotation player from day one.
Ready to play.
Chet obviously was a rotation player. JDub. And then you look at guys, and that's why like I'm more willing to move off of guys quicker for this team because I just feel like if they hit, we're gonna know really quickly. Like AJ, another one.
AJ,
like,
he's
good. Him hitting right out of the gate. It's like, okay, like he's good.
Yep.
So yeah, so knowing that this team has been that good at identifying talent, and specifically identifying talent that can immediately come into this team and fit in.
Yeah.
Makes me feel so much better about this future where, yes, it's their cap sheet's going to get crazy in a couple of years, but like, who cares? They have so much ammo through the draft, which is how they built this team in the first place to make it all work.
Yeah. And like part of, and like, we'll get into all this at a later date too, but the fact that Chet has held up so well as the center for this team in the finals is so meaningful, because it's clear that when he's off the court, you notice and you're like, hey, we should get that guy back out here, because defensively, he's an absolute monster. And this is the worst he's going to be defensively in his career right now. And he's a terror out there. And like, he wasn't making a ton of shots last night, but his impact was felt. He was a plus 12. And the best two-man duo last night on the court for the Thunder were a plus 16. It was Chet and JDub. Were the best two-man duo last night. So.
You don't see that a lot. Because like traditionally those would be like the non-Shea minutes. So like, how are they going to be the best two-man unit?
Yeah.
Because Shea's usually not going to be on the court for some of those minutes. So usually you'll see like Caruso and someone. I'm pretty sure like Caruso and Kaysen for some of the rounds were like the best two-man unit.
Without a doubt. Yeah. Or like Caruso and Shea, you know, like those lineups like really work. Yeah, it's crazy to think about the future here, but they've got to get one more win. Going back to Indiana for Game 6, it's crazy, and it's funny. Like JDub should be the number one talking point for everybody today, but Shea had 31, 2 boards, 10 assists, 2 steals, and 4 blocks last night.
Yeah, like offensively, I thought he had kind of a weird night. Of course, he's going to get to 30 no matter what because it's Shea.
Yeah.
But what he was doing defensively, like some of those blocks were so critical for this team, and for it to be your MVP, like the star player making some of those rotations and getting those blocks. I mean, Zach Lowe mentioned on his pod, and this is what my entire case for his MVP was, which is like, that is why he's the MVP.
Yeah.
Because of what he does on the defensive end. The fact that he is not, the fact that that is technically their weakest link, and it's that strong.
Yeah.
That you can have a player like him have 4 blocks, 2 steals in a game, and really play well defensively. I mean, I really think, do you feel like they're starting to figure out Indiana at all?
Yes, I do.
Except for TJ McConnell?
Except for the whole TJ McConnell is like the best player ever, maybe. Yeah.
As long as they win, I think that's very fun. But if they lost the finals,
I know
because
that's exactly how I feel too.
It's like kind of cool that a player like that is able, especially because he was on like Process Sixers. So like his journey has just been like very fun.
Yes.
To see him doing this finals, man, I can't imagine being a Pacers fan, like watching them make that comeback on the back of TJ McConnell. Like that has to be amazing.
That's got to feel great.
And as long as we win, it's fun, and I'll talk about it fondly. And if they do lose, I will never bring up his name. I never want to utter it again.
We'll never talk about it again. I know. Yeah, I have shouts to the Rice to Ricky Sanchez pod, because they're like very much cheering for TJ in this, because that's the Process Sixer. I went on. I don't know if you knew this, but I went on their podcast.
I saw that
a couple of weeks ago. And talked a little bit about it. But
I actually saw a guy. So he was down on the court before the game, like during shoot around, close to where Clay Bennett sits. And he had a shirt on that he had made, I'm assuming. I was seeing this from really far away. Shout out my vision.
Shout out to my vision.
Shout out my vision. I was trying to read his t-shirt, and it said Timmy. It was the Timmy character from South Park.
Yeah.
But he had TJ McConnell's face
as
Timmy, and TJ McConnell saw it and loved it.
Really?
And came over and like dapped the guy up and took pictures with him.
Hilarious.
And then other Pacers started coming over because they thought it was really funny. It was just cool little moment that I saw with my eagle eyes.
And that's the thing about this Pacers team. And I can't remember. I talked to somebody about this. Is that like the Pacers are a very likable team.
Yeah, and they have a lot of players that I like genuinely like. I think Siakam's awesome.
He was incredible yesterday. To think that the Pacers had that game down to 2 points, and Halliburton scored 0 field goals.
Yeah.
Like that's on Siakam. Siakam and credit to Dave DeFore. Dave DeFore for a while has been like, Halliburton's good. Like he's a very good player, but he's not the best player on the Pacers.
Yeah.
Like he's just not. He's like Siakam is their best player and has been all season. And Dave's right. Like that's their best player. Because when you think about half the game is defense, Siakam is a great defender.
Yeah.
He's been great at defending the rim. I think he's been much better than Turner has in this series. Yeah, he's their best player. He's incredible.
He feels like the one thing that they just have not been able to figure out with any consistency.
Sure. Yeah, and I think that's just like the mark of a really good player. In that trade, and I probably dogged on the trade. I probably thought there's no chance that the Pacers have to actually get to the finals. Why would they do this? Yada, yada. But here they are. And some of it is they play in the Eastern Conference. And this is why I would credit the Magic for going to get Desmond Bane, because
you never know now.
You never know what could happen. The Magic could be in the finals next year. I mean, who knows? But yeah, incredible game, incredible atmosphere. What was it like being there, seeing all the dunkers, just being in the arena?
It was great. I hadn't listened to the Monday pod, so I didn't know that you had told everyone it was my birthday. So I had multiple people that walked by, didn't say anything other than happy birthday, Alex. Complete strangers I'd never seen before.
Yep.
I didn't follow up with them on anything. I just got a simple happy birthday wish, which was very nice.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I got to meet a lot of dunkers, and the seats were great. I was telling you that there was a vibe shift.
Yeah.
Because during the first half, no one was sitting in the seat next to me. And so I had like 2 seats width to stand, cheer. It was great.
Yeah.
It was an amazing half. Then I come back from half. There's someone in the seat, and they are not wearing the shirt. Not wearing the shirt. They are not standing most of the time, just sitting. And they're also on Facebook scrolling, because I looked down to see what they were doing. They were on Facebook. And I was looking at it was just like normal posts. It wasn't like they were checking like some like NBA account on Facebook or something. And as the game started to get closer, like in my head, I'm already blaming this guy next to me. Like, why did you have to do
why
this?
Why are you here? You could do this at home.
We
could actually watch the game at home and just scroll Facebook.
We had incredible vibes first half, and then you showed up and everything's changing. Now, luckily by the end of the game, was upstanding, was cheering, so everything worked out. But there was a brief moment where I thought like something about this guy's energy has shifted the entire game. We've got to get him out of here.
Robert Dingman in the chat says, was it Stephen A sitting next to you?
No, it wasn't. Man, that would be, if it was Stephen A, you would have already seen multiple pictures.
He's just like sitting there scrolling Facebook.
Yeah, I would have posted a lot
Yeah.
of Stephen A if he was next to me.
That's hilarious. That is so good.
But yeah, it was a really fun game. I felt like it was the best amount of stress. I mean, obviously you would love to be at a game where your team hits like the game winner with no time remaining.
Oh.
But for health reasons, I much prefer the game where like your team's clearly the better team all game. The other team makes a run that's legit, but then they reassert themselves, pull away by the end of the game. Like that felt really, I loved the flow of that game.
Yeah. I've been really surprised at Carlisle's willingness to pull his players at the end of games.
I know, when I looked up, because of course I'm scared like until it's 0.
Because they've literally won a game where they were down 14 with 53 seconds left.
Yeah, and so when I looked up and saw the first man out there, I was like, oh, is it over?
Why is he doing that?
I don't know.
Because it's not like, oh man, that extra 2 minutes of rest for, Siakam is really going to carry over to game 6.
I mean, Furphy has become like their, like whatever the opposite of like a victory cigar is. Like
he's the white flag.
When I see him, I like, no, okay, I can relax now.
He's
although
figuratively and literally the white flag.
Although Michael Pena did point out that Shea is now 0 for 4 when he is guarded by Johnny Furphy. So maybe that's the game 6 adjustment.
It's a secret weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It is weird to me that they do that. Because like the Thunder were like, yeah, we're not messing around. We're gonna keep our guys out there. We're not throwing we're not throwing Oos out there.
I almost felt
Okay.
Oh, with my guy? Okay. I'll be right back.
We'll be right back after this quick break. And we're back after that quick break. I'm going to tell you guys about our second sponsor for the show today, which is Bob Moore Kia. And Bob Moore Kia is one of my favorite sponsors we've ever had on the show. I've been driving this Kia Sorento around for a little while now, and it is it's a beautiful vehicle, easy to drive. It is one of the safest vehicles I've ever driven, to be honest. And I feel cool. And I don't know if that's just like me being middle-aged and just a dad. I don't know, but I feel cool in this Kia Sorento. I like the gray color. It's great. Some deals that you can get this month at Bob Moore Kia, which is located on Northwest Expressway in between Rockwell and Council. You should stop in if you're ever in the area and just say, hey, Down to Dunk sent me. Would love to test drive a Kia. And you'll see, because I didn't know that much about Kias at the time. And you know what? I'm a Kia guy now. You can get 1.9% for 60 months with $500 summer sticker event bonus cash select 2025 Sorrentos with approved credit through KFA. Get 1.9% for 60 months with $500 summer sticker event bonus cash select on 2025 Sportages with approved credit. 2025 Kia K4 EX, which I'm kind of into. I need to test drive an EX. $3,499 down, $239 for 24 months, equipped and not stripped. Go check it out. And $1,000 bonus cash for current EV owners and 1.9% for 48 months. Go check out Bob Moore Kia today. Alex will be right back with us soon, but just digging through the box score still. Lugens Dort has shown a lot throughout these playoffs, and I think people are starting to understand how important he is to the Thunder. And this kind of happens. This happened with the fan base. This has happened in a lot of different circles, that people think like Lou Dort is expendable because you have Cason Wallace, you have Alex Caruso, but Dort has been so key to them stopping Halliburton. And last night he was so key on the offensive rebounds. He had 5 offensive rebounds on his own. His stat line: 9 points, 8 boards, 5 of them offensive. 3 assists, 2 steals, and a block for Dort. That's a stat sheet stuffer for Lugens Dort.
And he had one of his classic Dort daggers. I think he had one that put him up 15.
Yeah.
And that was honestly the moment for me when I felt like, okay, we're good.
Just exhaled like, oh, thank you, Lou. Yeah. He was legitimately great last night.
Did you talk about Cason and Wiggins while I was gone?
I've not. I talked about Bob Moore Kia.
Okay.
And I just talked about the importance of Dort and just the fact that Dort, and we've done this, everybody's done this, where Dort, everybody talks about him being the expendable one on the roster for whatever reason. I think he's essential, to what they do, and it's been essential in Halliburton. And we want to talk. Everybody talks about Halliburton's injuries, but I would love to know, what the truth is, percentage wise. What's the percent of Lou Dort has him locked up,
right?
And the percentage of hey, he's hurt.
Yeah, we did this in the Dallas series too with Luka.
Absolutely.
Last year, where it was oh man, Luka's really struggling with injuries, and then he plays his next series, and it's oh, Luka's great.
Yeah.
Now I do Halliburton clearly was not moving the same way, and I think for a player like him, it's already so hard to go up against someone like Dort when you're fully healthy, but to have to go against that same player when you're hampered at all.
Oh,
that's the reason why he can go over. That's the reason why he only took 6 shots.
Yeah.
I think that is going to be one of the keys, obviously, for game 6 is Halliburton's health, because the difference is if Shea had that same injury where he could play, like he'd still find a way to get to 20 points probably.
Yep.
You know, but Halliburton's just a different kind of player where the scoring is just not going to be there every single night. And when he's hampered in any way, and I gave you the stats at the beginning of the series, like, or I think I was talking to Tyler Parker, like people talk about how the Pacers can win without him scoring, which is true, but they are like a juggernaut when he scores.
Yeah.
And it's not, and I'm talking about like scoring over 20 points. I'm even talking about a large amount.
Yeah.
Like if he scores over 20 points, this team is a juggernaut. So the fact that they have continued to hold him under 20 for basically this entire series, other than one game, I think, like I do think that has been a huge key. As good as he is in every other aspect of his offensive game, limiting his scoring does matter to some extent, especially when he's over 6.
Yeah. 17.8 points per game for Halliburton.
Yeah. I think
in the first, and that's in the first 4 games. Why is this not updated?
I sent you the I didn't even mean, I wasn't looking at it for this reason, but I wanted to see Dort and Halliburton's head-to-head matchups.
Yeah.
And I think I sent this to you guys that for whatever reason, Dort in those games is averaging like 19.5 points and Halliburton was at like 13.5, which is very funny. And through some of these games, it kind of looked like, oh man, Dort might actually like score some points in the series, but
that's funny.
He's kind of settled in.
Okay. Halliburton, 15 points, 6 boards, 7 assists.
Yeah.
4 turnovers. 4 turnovers.
4 turnovers is massive.
That's the key. A lot of times against the Knicks, he had 0 turnover games where he's scoring 30. You know, he looked like the superstar.
Yeah, for the season, in the regular season, 1.6 per game.
And at 4 now and only 15 points per game, shooting 45, 29. He is shooting 100. But yeah, that is absolutely.
And one thing we saw in this game, maybe not for the first time, because I did go back and look at some of the other games, but a big part of his game obviously has been kicking out to wide open shooters in the corner.
Yes.
You know, game 1, 16 corner threes. Game 2, 16 corner threes. Game 3, they had 7, which is interesting because that is one of the games that they won. Game 4, 13 corner threes. And game 5, do you know how many corner threes they had? Attempts? 5.
Wow.
OKC only allowed 5 corner 3 attempts.
Wow.
A team that's just been lighting them up from the corners throughout the series, other than game 3. Like 10 of 16, 7 of 16, 7 of 13 in game 4, and then 3 of 5 last night.
Wow.
It's just huge. And I'll be interested to start, watching and listening to some of like the more X's and O's inclined people to, break down whether that was a deliberate change on OKC's part.
Right.
I mean, I did notice there were a couple plays in particular where I was like, man, Hartenstein's like really out there in the
I was going to say, iHeart was actually
corners.
kind of crucial
to
that, which is insane.
So maybe it was like a deliberate change in strategy because they were kind of getting killed in the corner. I mean, we've been talking about the corners this whole playoff run.
Basically since the Mavs.
Yeah, that's true. And going back to Presti's press conference at the end of last year where he talked about how like the big differentiator was Dallas's passing.
Yep.
And a lot of that was those skip passes from Luka to the opposite corner. And it felt like, oh man, the Pacers are like the perfect team to kind of like replicate that, both because of Halliburton, but also because of the shooters they have. And so if they get that under control, then I'll feel a lot better. Yeah. I still feel like this is going 7. I don't want it to go 7, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be cool theoretically for them to win a game 7 at home.
It would be,
but
it would be
theoretically the worst thing imaginable for them to lose a game 7 at home. So I'd much rather.
Oh yeah, it'd be terrible.
Yeah.
I just have a feeling that they're going to win it in Indy.
I hope so. I
think they're going to wrap.
I want to see a Pat McAfee pump up speech beginning of the 4th quarter again, and then I want to see Thunder win it.
Yep.
I wanted to mention a couple stats because I posted a stat. I think it was after game 4 about just how few passes OKC is making in this series, and it's like a dramatic difference.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, they're not a big passing team. Neither were the KD Russ teams. Like, that was one of the stories with those teams. Like, you don't have to pass to be good.
No.
Now,
you don't.
That kind of got in people's heads because of the Warriors. Like, when the Warriors started making their runs, they're making a crazy number of passes every game, and they're obviously good. but you don't have to make a lot of passes. However, I did feel like through the early part of this series that that wasn't just like a random stat. Like I did feel like the Pacers were changing the way OKC's offense was running. And what was interesting about last night's game is they get 24 assists. They had like as many assists as they had in game 4 within like a couple minutes, it felt like.
Yeah, in the first quarter, they had 10 assists and 4 threes.
Yeah.
It surpassed, like it matched the assists and surpassed the threes.
Which is crazy. But they only had 209 passes, which was their second lowest of the series, I believe.
Wow.
So like that's a good example of you don't have to be like ping, 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 ping on every single possession.
Yeah.
And they did have some of those plays.
They had a few of those, yeah.
But like they also just had a lot of like really good one pass possessions where they generated a good shot. But yeah, listen to this. This is by series OKC's passes per game. And this is not factoring in last night's game. Against Memphis, 252 per game, Denver 261, Minnesota 254, Indy 222.
Wow.
And the team with the fewest passes in the league during the regular season averaged about 260. So like they're below what would be 30th. So Indy has done a lot to gunk up their offense.
Yeah, they have.
But last night was the first time where it felt like even despite that, they really were in a good flow. And part of that is simply like Kaysen hitting his threes.
Yeah.
Wiggins hitting his threes.
Yeah.
Like when that happens, everything looks smoother. You know, and that first Kaysen three, dude, when that went down, I felt like the crowd knew too. Maybe they didn't know that he was 0 for 8 coming into that shot.
They knew
in the
he's
finals.
been bad though.
Yeah,
like it's a very intelligent NBA crowd.
But when we saw that go down, it was like okay.
And then he was back defensively too.
Yeah,
because he was kind of flying all around, and there were moments offensively and defensively that you're just like, what happened to him? And it's like, oh, this is where you talk about how young he is.
Yeah.
You know? And I went and talked to Kaysen's mom and his brother after the game. And I don't know if there were two happier people in the arena.
Yeah.
Those two after the game. They were so pumped up. And they didn't say anything particularly special, but they were just like telling me how happy they were, how excited they were for him. You know, after really, being in a slump.
And he had 4 steals.
He was incredible. They need him to be that, and for him to do that on the road, I think they need him to do that. They need Wiggins to show up. They need these other auxiliary guys to just hit shots. You don't have to make 4,
right?
But if you make 2, like 2 of 5 would even be very helpful in just like spreading the court a little bit.
Well, we talked about after game 4, like that Caruso game was awesome.
Yes,
but like how often can you really expect Caruso to score you 20 a game? Like somebody else on the bench has to make up some of those points night to night. And last night, Caruso 1 for 8, scored 2 points. Now, of course, he was still +8 because it's Alex Caruso.
Yeah.
It's impossible for him to be a negative in a game. But getting that bench production out of Wiggins and Kaysen was it was the thing that kept them, I don't want to say afloat, but it was the thing that like allowed them to maintain that distance through the first half where you still felt good about what was happening. You didn't feel like they were totally squandering these opportunities with like the turnovers the way I did kind of feel in game 1, as good as that first half was in game 1.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to know because all these games have felt so different. Like think about how different everything felt from game 4 to game 5.
Oh yeah.
Like each game has its own unique feel to it where it's like, I don't know. I mean, I can't remember who asked him this. I think it was Joe Varden before the game. Asked Mark, do you ever get to a point in a series where there's no more adjustments to make? And Mark looked at him and he said, no. And that was it.
It's a good question though.
It is a good question.
I feel like if you were to say yes, that would be a really bad sign.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I think this is all we can do.
Yeah, actually, after game 2, I pretty much wrapped it up. I had seen enough. We're just running out now.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know what we're gonna do. We'll just try to do our best.
Well, that's why game 5 felt so huge for me because it's felt like in this series, Carlisle got that initial advantage by winning game 1.
Yes.
And so then it was like, okay, Mark's got to make the adjustment and they win game 2. But then it's like Carlisle makes the adjustment. They win game 3. And I was worried that it was just going to keep going back and forth because both of these guys are really good tacticians.
Yeah, it did feel that way.
But
for them to get 2 in a row, they haven't lost 2 in a row since March, by the way. The Pacers haven't.
Hey, when was the last time OKC lost 2 in a row?
They lost 2 in a row in April in the
Okay.
regular season.
All right. Well, but what about before that?
I don't know. Probably very, very far away from that. But and like none of that stuff really matters because it's like this is the NBA Finals. You're playing against the best team. All of the stats, team doesn't score this much or they haven't lost this many. It's like you got to throw all that out. Like these are all very individual games.
It is kind of indicative of just how difficult this Pacers team is to play. That they're hard to figure out.
They're good. They're very good. And I think the thing that people keep saying is like they're the team that's the most like the Thunder in the NBA.
In what way though? Because I feel like they're totally different
with their pace, their defense.
Yeah, I mean, so one thing I will say, obviously last night being there, it was exhausting. I was exhausted at the end of the game, and I was thinking towards the end of the game, like, oh my god, what about these guys that are actually playing in this game? Like, I can't imagine the like mental and physical toll playing in a game like that takes on your body and your brain, especially like when you don't win. Like losing 2 in a row, like the Pacers did, like you have to be so strong mentally and physically to make it through a series like this. And I was watching it, just think like, man, either whichever of these teams wins this series, they will have deserved it because this is such a physical game. I mean, we haven't really talked about the refs because I don't think they influence the game, like for one side or another. But like it was really interesting because early on, I felt like they were really letting them play.
Yeah,
it was super physical.
Yeah,
to the point that Carlisle got a tech for that foul or not. It was a no call on Dort when Nembhard was going to the basket. But then as the game went on, I felt like they started to get more ticky-tacky, which I felt like was exemplified by that call on Chet when I felt like it was just a contested rebound. Like Miles Turner just beat him out for a rebound.
Yeah.
Like it just looked like a normal play, and they called the foul on Chet. So it felt like as the game went on, they were starting to call it a little bit tighter. And maybe that's why the first half was so much more fun. They should go back to that.
Yeah.
But it felt looser in the first half. But yeah, just like the physicality in these finals games has been crazy.
It's been outstanding basketball. It's been really fun. I think if you're a neutral observer, it's been great. If you're a Thunder fan or a Pacers fan, there have been extreme moments of agony that have happened. And Amy, my wife, and I mentioned this on the show yesterday, but she was like scrolling through social media and seeing all these people posting their like reactions from like their family members and stuff watching the game. And I made it. She was like, you need to make a video. She's like, you need to have Dunkers send you their photos and videos. And so I made this video of it. And there have been like the response of it is like, yes, like that's how I feel. Like this is exactly what I was doing. This is how I felt during it. And it's cool to have this like collective experience where there's like these up and down emotions, and especially to end up in a place where you're up 3-2 and you're 1 win away from winning the NBA Finals as a collective group.
And credit to the Pacers because they like if the Knicks couldn't have gotten to this level defensively.
No,
like the Pacers raised their physicality in this series.
They've been great. I think they've been coached very well. I think they've played really well. I just think this series, I think when we look, if the Thunder win it, we'll look back at it and it's just like the Thunder had the 2 best players in the series.
Yeah.
In Shea and JDub. And that's what ultimately ended this run for the Pacers and pushed the Thunder toward a championship. I've got to go, but I want to read some super chats before we get out of here. Plumpy Boy says, happy belated birthday, Al.
Oh, thank you, Plumpy Boy.
Matt A says, my work denied my PTO request to go to OKC this weekend.
No,
too bad for them. I'm still going.
Hell yeah.
Greg Ray says, I know we still have 1 win, but I feel like I can finally start thinking about the parade. Do we know anything about timing?
No, don't talk about it. Don't jinx it.
I have nothing to say.
Although we were talking about it last night, I do think that you would have to go down Broadway because it's a very nice street for something like that with all the businesses.
Yeah, without a doubt. I don't know what the route would look like.
But don't talk about it.
But I refuse to ask about it.
And edit this part out.
I don't even know what you're talking about. AV Nips says, finally got the JDub game, and what a game it was. McConnell terrified me for a little, but what a win. What a win indeed. AV Nips. Parker L says, weren't JDub and Shea one of the best clutch players last season? They closed the last 2 wins. Are we 2 good role player games away from a game 6 win? Yeah, I think they're going to need a couple guys to step up to win. And then RA says, saying it again, OKC will go as far as Dub and Chet take them. Chet's offense is lacking, but his defense is solid. The amount of sports cards I've collected of JDub and SGA, ... It's great. It's great, man. It's a great time to be a Thunder fan. Great time to be a dunker. Shout out to all the dunkers that we saw last night at the game. Gave out a lot of stickers. And so grateful for that. Grateful to talk to all the dunkers at the games. It just brings me a lot of joy. So I'm very, very grateful. Anything you want to say before we go, Al? I'm so glad to have Al in person. If you're not watching on YouTube, you should subscribe to our YouTube channel. Al is with me in person here at Down to Dunk Studios. It's glorious, a glorious time.
No, I mean, I guess I would just say that if you ever get a chance to go to a game like that,
yeah,
I do think it's worth it. I mean, I was on StubHub yesterday morning, like just seeing like what the prices were going to be, and it did feel like obnoxious.
Yeah.
But now that I've been to a game like that, like I sort of get it. Like I understand how people can justify spending a lot of money, because it really is special, and it's totally different from any NBA game I've ever been to. It was you really felt like you were a part of something, and you were this like one mass of people, all in unison. Like it was just really cool.
It felt like the crowd and the Thunder defense joined forces at one point.
They did
in the game, and it was very, very cool.
I mean, in pregame, the way it was feeling, I was like, how could this not play out like the first half of game 1?
Yeah, Mark.
It felt like inevitable that they were going to cause a bunch of turnovers simply because of the way the crowd felt going into the game.
Without a doubt. Yeah, Mark says that they're the wind at the team's back.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So
so sweet.
What a sweet man.
Thank you, Mark.
All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to share this. We'd love to just keep growing Down to Dunk through this. And so please share this. A lot of people have been watching the How Oklahoma Are You videos. I've been getting a lot of YouTube comments. So like you can share those too. We have a lot of fun content on the channel that I would love for people to continue to share. So please do that. I hope you guys enjoy these next couple days, because what a joy it is to be one win away from an NBA championship. We'll talk to you guys again. I might have another pod tomorrow, but for sure, we'll talk to you guys again on Friday.